Hi there, students. Coverage. So coverage, the degree to which something is covered. Okay, the amount that is covered. You could see all of it, or maybe part of it is covered, but coverage. Now, we particularly use coverage about the reporting of an important event or an important subject. So there is live coverage of the test match, the cricket match, from 9 a.m. Tomorrow morning. Okay, live coverage. So it's the event is being covered live. Media coverage, media reporting. So there was very little media coverage of the event. There seems to be a huge amount of media coverage of the legal problems of Mr. Trump. Okay, news coverage. Keep up to date with our latest news coverage. The press coverage. So this event has had a huge amount of press coverage. Okay, so there is very good coverage of some sports, but not of others. So I don't know, for example, the coverage of water polo is much less than the coverage of something like football. The funeral of Queen Elizabeth II received extensive coverage in the news. I remember I wasn't allowed to watch the live coverage of a man landing on the moon because I was a bit young and it was very late at night. But there was live coverage of it. Okay, so coverage. There's television coverage of major events. Now, for example, this channel has very good coverage of the English language, of different vocabulary. It covers many different things. Yeah, it deals with this very well. Now, for mobile phones, if a mobile phone has has coverage, you can make a call because the signal strength, the reception of a radio signal. Okay, for example, a job. I can't go to lunch unless there is enough coverage to answer all of the phone calls. If we dig down into this soil, there is a coverage of about 6 inches of soil before we get to rockier ground. Okay, so to the coverage of an insurance policy. So you pay for your insurance policy, and this gives you 1 year's coverage. The coverage of your insurance policy runs out at the end of next month. In journalism, it's the amount of attention, the type of attention that is given to something in the media. Media coverage, or the area covered by a mobile phone or other radio network. So mobile phones have very good coverage in the cities, but very often if you go to the back of beyond, if you go into the forest, then you have very little or no coverage whatsoever. Okay, so coverage, or for example, the number of people, the percentage of people reached by a communication or by a television program or a newspaper. So this newspaper has a coverage of 10%. It's reached by 10% of people who read newspapers. So the degree to which something is reported and analysed. There was complete news coverage of the election, insurance coverage, mobile phone coverage, the extent. Okay, so the reporting, the analysis, the treatment of something. Um, Okay, this insurance policy doesn't give you coverage for accidental fire, for example. Yeah, there's no coverage if your house is hit by a meteorite. Maybe the coverage of paint. You buy a tin of paint and the coverage of this tin of paint is 6 square meters. That's the amount of surface that it can cover. Okay, so the coverage, yeah, on a smooth surface, you get 10 meters per liter of coverage. Okay, so a radio station is trying to improve its coverage of international events. Insurance coverage against a loss. So I've got £100,000 worth of insurance coverage of cover for my house, which is probably enough. Not enough. There's probably not enough coverage. Okay, the Wi-Fi, the wireless connection doesn't have good coverage, and I need to get some sort of system to boost the coverage, to increase it, to make it bigger. Okay, so coverage. Also in finance, the amount of money that you have to pay your debts. It can be all sorts of figures, but normally the coverage should be higher than the liabilities. So coverage. Well, this word directly comes from the verb to cover. Okay, so to cover something, which it comes from Latin cooperio, to cover completely, co an intensifier, and operio, to close, to cover completely. Coverage, formality. I think as a business word I'm going to give it a 6 in formality. Use anywhere. So coverage.